clients come in saying, how do I get somebody else to change, and spending a lot of energy and time trying to change somebody when, as we all know, you can't change others. Stretch to accept others for who they are instead of trying to change them and be something you think they should be.
Welcome to Be Bold Branding, where we discuss the power of differentiating yourself through your own unique story and standout personal brand. Today, we're talking with a guest who is a master certified coach, dynamic facilitator, and inspiring motivational speaker. She's worked as a director for a U.S. senator, deputy transition director for a governor, and on the national advance team for 2 U.S. presidential campaigns. She's also the author of Thoughtfully Fit. She balances her thriving business by raising her 2 energetic teenage daughters, some adventure travel mixed in there, and competing in triathlons. When does she have time to sleep? Today, she's going to share her story, exactly who she helps, and why she does what she does. I'm Tanya Eberhardt, founder of BrandFace. We help experts and influencers differentiate themselves, and we do that through personal branding.
Hey guys, I'm Michael Carr. I'm the COO of BrandFace. I was actually a client 8 years ago, and the principles made my company so successful. I bought into the company, and now we're the most comprehensive personal brand building system across the globe. And we do Be Bold branding to teach people how to be bold with what they're doing. And we have a wonderful guest for you here today. Welcome, Darcy Loma.
Thank you. It's so great to be here.
So nice to have you. So nice to have you. So as I mentioned before we started, I started your Thoughtfully Fit book. I'm not completely finished with yet, but it has me enthralled. Like, it's so fantastic. Let's do this, Darcy. Start by telling us what Thoughtfully Fit is and how it came to be.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening to the book and for that compliment. Thoughtfully Fit is a leadership model that I created when I started to notice that after coaching thousands of clients, whether it's executives or managers or leaders or frontline employees, they all struggle with the same or similar hurdles. As a matter of fact, we spent 5 years researching and found that there are 6 obstacles that get in the way of peak performance. And as a lifelong athlete, I made the connection that when I'm training and practicing for my triathlons and I'm physically fit, they're easier and they're more fun and I get better results. And so in the same way, you can train and practice for those people problems, those hurdles that get in the way of being successful. And so Thoughtfully Fit is the model that we designed to help people to train to overcome those hurdles.
Love that thought process. But it's so common sense when it's said out loud that it would be that we would run into that as humans, because we have different traits and we're not perfect at all of those. And to tie that into like your triathlons is that's pretty smart, if you ask me.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's like if you can train your body, why can't you train your mind?
Absolutely, you can.
So true.
Junk in, junk out. Right, just totally makes sense.
Right.
So you want to go over those hurdles that most people face from success and tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, absolutely. So 3 of the 6 hurdles are internal, where we get in our own way. And then 3 of them are external, where there are challenges with others. So the 3 internal, and Tanya, you had shared with me beforehand that you took the Thoughtfully Fit quiz.
I did.
So the first hurdle that clients bring into coaching is, there's so much to do, I can't even think.
That was me.
Yes.
Yep.
Right? You can relate.
I can relate.
Yeah. And all of the hurdles align with a practice, a Thoughtfully Fit practice. So that's the practice of stillness, which is about being able to quiet the mind. Just like if you want to be physically fit, you have to take rest days. Your body rebuilds stronger on the rest and the recovery days. In the same way, you have to build in stillness to be mentally fit. So that's the first hurdle. Do you want me to keep going?
Yes, please.
Please.
Yeah. Okay. Second hurdle, some version clients would come in and say that, Darcy, I don't always handle myself the way I'd like. So maybe they, come home from a late, long, stressful day at work and walk through the kitchen door and stumble on the shoes and the backpacks and see that dinner's not ready, and, start feeling all of that negative energy building up. And I've had clients say, like, I know I'm about to not handle myself well, and I can't help myself in that moment. Mm-hmm. That's the thoughtfully fit practice of strength. And that's about being able to consciously choose how you show up, no matter what, right? And it sometimes takes a heavy lift. If you're stressed out and overwhelmed, and then somebody's not behaving the way you want, that can really be challenging. And then the third internal practice is, I feel stuck. So clients would come into coaching saying they were stuck in a job that was no longer fulfilling, stuck in a relationship, stuck with a project they didn't know how to move forward. So that's the thoughtfully fit practice of endurance. And that's about being able to overcome those obstacles and embrace a growth mindset so you can get unstuck and move forward in your life. So then there's three that are external. Do you want me to do you want me to pause it?
Keep going,
okay.
Keep going. So far, I identify with some part of all of them.
I do too.
I'm just dying to find out if I have all six.
Yeah. And that's so funny, because I find that I, in any given week, have most of these challenges, most of these hurdles. So the first external hurdle is, I'd be fine if only you were different. If somebody else would behave differently, you could be happy, right? If your boss would just smile when they walked in the room, or your neighbor would stop mowing the grass at 7 a.m. when you want to wake up. And that is a hurdle, because clients come in saying, how do I get somebody else to change? And spending a lot of energy and time trying to change somebody, when, as we all know, you can't change others.
Yeah, right.
That's the hurdle, is the thoughtfully fit practice of flexibility. And that's just being able to stretch to accept others for who they are, instead of trying to change them and be something you think they should be. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then the second external hurdle is, I have relationships that don't work. Clients come in, and many times they want to, I'll say, what do you want coaching on today? And there is some relationship, either personal or professional, that isn't working. And maybe they're over functioning, and they're starting to feel resentful, and it's sort of a lose-win situation. Or maybe they're the dominant one. They're the one that's like, I'm going to win and you're going to lose. I'm going to get my way. And in the short term that works. But for the long term, it's a recipe for a relationship that's not balanced. So that's the practice of balance, which is about being able to balance what do you want and need with what I want and need, so that we can achieve alignment in our relationship. And then the very last hurdle is, I react poorly when blindsided. So
that hits home.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Clients will come in and say, oh, Darcy, I gotta work on this, because I was in a board meeting and somebody asked me a tough question that I took critical. And instead of breathing and getting curious and responding calmly, I got defensive and I attacked back. And so that's the practice of agility, which is being able to respond thoughtfully in the moment, instead of reacting on autopilot and having a knee-jerk reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I love these. I have personally struggled with every one of them at some point.
Oh, of course. Yes, I have too.
The blindsided really hits me at home, because I never, and Tanya knows this better than anybody, I have worked really hard. I didn't have a Darcy to teach me, but I worked really hard, because I knew that was wrong. Like, I knew that I couldn't do that in situations. And ironically, to share a little myself, it wasn't big things like, I'd have a contractor come in and say, hey, I got some bad news, a house caught on fire. I'm like, well, hopefully it burnt down. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have a problem with that kind of blindside. But if it was on a personal level, like somebody came at me with an attack or a perceived attack, well, then I was ready to front. I was like, and get my feathers all ruffled and stuff. And I had to work really hard at getting away from that, because it's non-productive.
And I give you a lot of credit, Michael, for having the awareness, B, being willing to admit that, right? That takes some level of vulnerability and confidence to be able to admit it, and then C, to work on it, because you're a human. We react poorly when blindsided. And unfortunately, what that means is, now, not only do you have the original problem, whatever somebody's attacking you for, now you got to clean up the mess from handling it poorly.
Yes, because they always remember the reaction. Nobody remembers what led up to the reaction. They only remember the reaction. Oh, this guy. And I didn't want to be that guy, So.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are good, though. Those are really good. And definitely hindrances to moving forward, no matter what you want to do.
Yeah. And I found going through that quiz, and I would strongly recommend all of you to take this quiz because it really gives you some good insight into yourself. I did not struggle at all with answering any of those questions. It was almost like they illuminated off the screen for me. It's like, oh, that one. Yeah, that one. It was easy for me to answer those. And I was not surprised by the outcome. Because my mind is constantly moving when my body's not, and my body's moving most of the day. So it's constant, like you can never turn the switch off sometimes. And then you always feel like there's something you're supposed to be doing, whether it's productive or not. That's the hard part to admit, is some of it's not productive at all. So it would be much more productive if you said, like you say, you need stillness. It's like, who has time for that?
Right. It's not productive, and it's counterintuitive because indeed
you think it's not. Your perception is it's not productive at all.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And you build in that stillness, just like when I was training for the Ironman and I had hit a plateau and I was like, why am I not getting faster? And so I did what I think most people would do. I trained harder. I went from 6 days a week to 7 days a week, and I increased it. And what I realized from my coach is that I needed to take time off. It's counterintuitive. In order to break through that plateau, my body needed rest. And so that stillness for our mental mind to be able to be strategic and innovative and to really think through problems, we can't be in constant motion all the time and filling it, from meeting to podcast to NPR. You have to create stillness. Then it makes you more productive.
You do. Personally, I found out for myself that I have a 72-hour window. So like when somebody presents something to me that's a particular problem, or if it's something I have to face that's like, maybe a personality situation I've got to overcome, or I've got to face somebody or something, an employee or something, like I need 72 hours and I will meditate upon that problem for that. And the answer always comes to me, and it's always a positive ending. It's never, but if I cheat on that 72-hour window, then a lot of times, half of the time is going to be a problem. And if I react, 100% of the time it's going to be a problem.
That is fascinating that you're that dialed in, Michael, that that's the amount of time you need to be able to sit with something and process and think about it.
Yep. That's what I need.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And because it fits with everything you're talking about, because we all are all human, and we all have the same emotions, and we all have the same fears, and we all have the same really drivers, right? And but in different order and in different percentages, where we all are going to battle with some form of your 6 hurdles at some point in our life, and some of them are greater than others. But it's very interesting, and we are very fascinated by it, because dealing in our business and the branding business with people, we're dealing with business people, and we're dealing with people that's like, why will my business not grow? Like, why, I don't have any ROI on my marketing. Why is this? And we have found that it is so intertwined with how you approach it, and very important to bring these things into focus. So I'm like Tanya, you guys need to take that test and see what you're dealing with.
And that's just at thoughtfullyfit.com. It's a free test, 2 or 3 minutes. Anybody who wants to take that. Thank you.
Yeah,
perfect.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Do you find that there's any one of those is more a prominent a hurdle than others, or does it just totally dependent upon the personality?
Well, it's funny you say that.
Or situation.
Yeah, because when I will go to do keynotes and trainings and workshops at different associations or companies, I will ask either show of hands or stand up for which one, and I'll go through the 6. And I tell you what, they're all hurdles, and it just depends on, it just depends on, sometimes I'll have more if I'm in an accounting industry They might be more internal than if I'm in a sales where maybe people are more external and they're more out and about with people. But the reality is we all experience them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's so true. So I know you do coaching, and I read this in some of your material, and I wanted you to address it. The one common myth about coaching that you would like to debunk, because
Yes.
I also sort of felt that.
Yeah, I don't know what you're referring to, but I'll tell you. And
Okay.
So tell me if it's a different one you read. But the one thing, and if it's something else, tell me. But when people think about coaching, they think that you're going to tell me what to do. You're
That's
going to
exactly
give me
what it
advice.
was.
You're going to
Yes.
fix me.
Right.
And
right.
that is not coaching. That is mentoring. And mentoring is fantastic. I'm going to just get curious. I'm going to ask questions, tough, powerful questions. I might hold up the mirror and point out some blind spots. And it's a very different model. And was that the myth you were thinking of?
It is exactly the one. And I thought about it this way, when we're growing up and we're in sports, right? And especially when we're younger, the coach tells us what to do. You go do this, you execute this play, you do this, right? And so there's that perception that a lot of people walk into the word coaching with. And I can understand why there's a disconnect there. But I also understand clearly the difference between that and mentoring. And so I had never really heard it addressed that way. So I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah. And that is most people's, how they know coaching is from sports coaching and from growing up. And there are a lot of similarities, but when you look at professional coaching, whether it's executive leadership, life coaching, that's one place that it is very different.
Mm-hmm. So true.
Yeah.
So true.
Well, I think that probably comes too, because we look at, like you said, we look at coaching on those lower levels of our childhood, like growing up, right? But when you get up into professional sports and stuff like that, the coach is very rarely telling you you're holding the bat wrong, right? You're talking strategies, right? You're talking ethereal strategies and things that are far more advanced. That makes total sense. It's not a mentoring program. It's a coaching. You're the expert.
But they don't do it for you. Right. They can't swing the bat for you. You have to do it with their guidance. So
that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Makes total sense.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So Darcy, we're going to ask you 5 questions that we like to ask our guests that deal with your brand. Okay. And so if you're ready, we're going to ask you these 5 questions, starting with, in your business, what sets you apart from others in your industry?
That's fantastic. And it's funny because I remember when I first started my business 9 years ago, I was doing a lot of presentations and somebody said, you should really brand yourself. You should really brand your business. And I was like, what does that mean? And now I'm so embarrassed how naive I was. So I just want to, say how much I've enjoyed listening to your podcast and learning from what you put out there, because branding is so important. So I think a couple of things that are unique for my firm is the thoughtfully fit model, and that everything that we do is grounded in that. And also that we're a one-stop shop for solving your people problems, for becoming and creating sort of that high performing organization or team. So whether you want to work on yourself and an individual with coaching, or you want to do some team coaching, a team retreat, team assessment, or you want to do some training on how can you deal with conflict better and communicate better and build trust, we are a one-stop shop. And I think that's one of the things for our brand that we have worked hard to put out there, because we like to partner with our clients for longer term relationships instead of just a one-off.
Love it.
Perfect. Okay. Question number 2. Who do you serve? Exactly. Who are your ideal customers?
Our ideal customers on the B2C front are high performing, successful people who want to go to the next level. So we are not about trying to convince somebody who's a couch potato that they need to go run a 5K or they need to get fit, right? We are not about to say that you need to address your hurdles and you need to be able to learn how to communicate better and how to respond better when you're blindsided. We attract and work with people who want to get better. And then on the organization front, we work with companies who want to take their company to that next level to create a high-performing organization. And so we've worked in 48 industries with more than 500 clients. the actual industry doesn't matter as long as you have people and you want to invest in your people problems and being able to be high performing. That's the industry that we work in.
I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah. As somebody that builds, is in constant flux of building a team and adding to that team, I'll probably have some questions for you as some other questions besides that.
Oh, fantastic. Yes.
Yep.
Call me afterwards.
Yep.
We can
I'm
talk.
so fired up about it. That's awesome. All right. So how do you serve those clients is question number 3.
Yeah, we have 3 buckets. So coaching, consulting, and speaking. In the coaching bucket, we do both individual as well as team coaching. So whether it's, we do a lot of executive coaching and leadership coaching, but we also have some clients who want to come. I have 6 coaches on my team for life coaching. And then the team coaching, and systems coaching, which is more than one person. So that's the first bucket. And then with the consulting bucket, we are working and doing organization development with teams and organizations, doing a team assessment and a retreat to help identify what's getting in the way of being high performing. And then we custom design retreats to be able to address those obstacles. And then in the speaking bucket, it's both keynotes. I love doing keynote speeches, and then also training. So everything from a half-day, full-day workshop to we have a several 4-month series where both in person and virtual, we will do a deeper dive. For instance, how to increase your impact. We have a series on becoming taking a coaching approach to managing. So becoming a coach leader, and those series then also bring in the coaching and the skill drills into them as well.
Very good.
Perfect. All right. Number 4, what qualifies you to serve them?
Oh, I love these questions. And I didn't know them in advance. And I'm just, you said, oh, you're going to be able to answer them. And this is so funny because 5 years ago, I would not have been able to answer these questions. I've worked really hard to hone in and define and figure out what is our brand and who do we serve. So I am a self-help junkie. I have more books that I'm reading than I do shoes in my closet. I go to more, webinars and conferences and degrees and certification than I go to the movies. So it's really my passion. So I have a master's in organization development. I did my master's thesis on the impact of coaching on overall life satisfaction. I'm trained and certified in organization and relationship systems coaching. I'm not going to bore you and go on and on, but I guess a lot of
Keep going.
No, it's all good. I think they get the idea by now.
It's just bottom line. I
Iceberg.
love investing in my craft, right? And continually learning and growing and hiring my own coaches to help me see my own blind spots.
That's a pearl of wisdom right there, guys.
That's true.
For sure.
Very true.
All right. And number 5, and this is my favorite question. How does it make your clients' lives better?
I just had a team meeting this morning with our coaching team, and I said, I love what we do because we see the results. And I know that, everybody who works in the field they work in and they're passionate about, which is fabulous. I used to work in politics. I spent, 25 years in the political campaign sector, and I never quite saw the direct tie to the work I was doing and the results and the impact. When I am working with a team, when I'm working with an individual or an organization, and we are doing a deep dive into how can you set boundaries? How can you give feedback in a more effective way? How can you lead with vulnerability and courage and compassion? How can you start to ask more questions as a leader and take a coaching approach instead of being autocratic and people aren't bought in? I see the results. I see people getting more effective and the teams building trust and the organizations, going to that next level. Now I don't even remember what your question was. I got so excited.
Well, actually, you just answered it there at the end. You said you see them growing. You see them, becoming a team and just letting go of some of the things that were inhibiting them, and that's really, what I mean. I'm sure there are lots of ways it makes their life better, but those are just, probably a few. And, Darcy, I got to say, you're on this podcast for a reason. We invite the people onto this this podcast who have that dialed in.
Absolutely.
And so if we can see they have it dialed in, then they get invited here and they answer those questions, and it's never an issue. We knew you were going to nail those questions because you know the answers to them.
I mean, I'm so honored to be here, and I have to say it's like serendipity. Every year I have an intention. It's something that I'm really focused on. And last year it was playfulness, which I failed at fabulously. But this year my intention is to be bold, and so it is no accident that I am here today with you.
So
we
true.
would agree 100%.
All right. So what's the next bold adventure for you?
Personally or professionally?
Either. Answer it either way.
Yeah.
Well, okay, this is probably not appropriate, but personally, I am ready to start dating. I went on one date in COVID. I'm divorced, and I want to be bold, put myself out there.
Atta girl.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I like that transparency. Makes you sweat a little, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I hope I don't have a vulnerability hangover tomorrow from saying that.
That's all good. That's what's called stepping out of your comfort zone.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm sweating right now. I am out of my comfort zone. On the professional front, I'm super excited because we're building and going to be launching this year a Thoughtfully Fit gym. So it's kind of like a Peloton for your brain, where you can go online and get workouts to be able to address and train to clear those hurdles from the comfort of your own home.
That's really neat.
I can't wait. Make sure we know about this first thing, Darcy.
I will.
There.
I will invite. I'd love to have both of you as gym members.
We would love it. We would love it.
Well, and we're believers too, because we know that it's definitely true that our minds are everything. They attract the things that we want, and we have so many habits as humans that we develop. And we don't even realize how harmful they are. They don't even come across that way and to us, and they become so second nature. And then when you really do look at that and try to take a deep dive into it, sometimes it scares people. Like, deep dive. I'm divorced also back in the day, and I remember, we got to do a lot of work, and I'm like, you got to do a lot of work. I'm perfect. Like, no problem. And then when you go to counseling, you learn, I am the problem, and then you fix it. They don't, and then they're okay. All right, now who learned? I mean, it's like crazy, but
we got a lot to talk about, Michael.
Our minds are everything, and the way we approach things is really valuable, and it's a training exercise. It is. It's I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have thought that. And those are just minor examples. I'm sure you've got much deeper ones, but it starts with that kind of thing. It's junk in, junk out. I just believe it. I told you earlier when we met that every day Saturday for me, and that did not just happen one day. It didn't just happen.
You decided.
I decided
right.
I'm going to figure out how to enjoy every second, no matter what I face, and for the rest of my life, because I just don't want to. I'm going to live to be 101. I don't want to.
That's what I keep telling him.
That is so powerful, and to make that conscious choice, and then to focus on what you control to make it reality. That's inspiring.
Yeah, well, I hope so. And you are inspiring. I can say.
Yes, thank you for all your work.
Tell how prospects could reach you. What is the best way for them if they want to learn more about what you do, your book series, everything? Tell us.
Well, thank you so much.
They want to date you. Like, tell us how.
I can give I'm not on any of the dating apps, so I guess I can't give that profile, but I'm working on it. Be bold.
That's it.
So my website is darcyloma.com, and that has all of our services and blog and lots of free resources. And then thoughtfullyfit.com is where you can go if you want to take the quiz to find out what is your biggest hurdle, and then a strategy on how can you overcome and start to clear that hurdle.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Darcy, thank you so much for taking time to be here with us today. You are such a gem, and we've learned a lot from you today, and especially the fact that I fall into all 6 of those at different times of the day, and I'll be working on those.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you for having me. You guys are just delightful.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Well, if you guys learned something today that helps you or inspires you like it inspired us, we encourage you to please like it, love it, share it, and ding, subscribe so you can be the first to learn about the next episode.
Yep, folks, thank you for joining us. And it's all about prosperity. And when we say prosperity here, we're not just talking about money. That's just a portion of prosperity. We're talking about the full 360 of an abundant life that we truly wish for every one of you. We know at BrandFace that prosperity favors the bold. Darcy knows that prosperity favors the bold. So we say be bold, especially with your brand, especially in 2022. Thank you, Miss Darcy. And thank you, Miss Tanya.
Thank you. All right, guys, we'll see you next time on Be Bold Branding.
Thank you.
Brought to you by BrandFace, the only comprehensive personal brand building system across the globe.